Ali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. This does not bode well. America stumbles with its first elective test of 2020. So after the fail of the Iowa caucuses, we look at how a caucus works when it works. Artists become activists inspired by the devastation of the Australian bushfires. And the Oscars are days away, but did an app from the Academy predict the winners and ruin all the anticipation? As top of our news feed, the Iowa Caucus, the first and apparently consequential Democratic moment which begins America's decision on who will be its next president, has been a total mess. Results have not arrived, and it's all because of a new app. How 2020? Here's Adama.
It began with an embarrassing stumble in what is the biggest election season for a generation. In the first in-the-nation caucus in Iowa, electoral workers reported technical issues with a new app, causing major delays in revealing the results from some 1,700 Democrat voting precincts. Instead, voting had to be manually verified against paper backups, with results still not yet known. It left some voters and volunteers bewildered.
This simply is not the way that we should do this. It was a complete mess. It is not reliable in the way that we need this to be reliable when we're starting off the process for electing the most important public servant in our country and in the world.
Others were not so surprised.
I mean, they're trying a new vendor with new tech. I work in tech, as I knew this was coming.
Democrats were quick to say the disastrous delay was an attempt to ensure accountability and the system wasn't hacked.
We expect to have numbers to report later today. We want to emphasize that this is a reporting issue, not a hack or an intrusion. And it's exactly why we have a paper trail and systems in place to uphold the integrity of our process. We are validating every piece of data we have against our paper trail. That system is taking longer than expected, but it's in place to ensure we are eventually able to report results with full confidence. We have said all along, we have these backups in place for exactly this reason.
But the chaotic technical problems with voting apps and the potential for cyber attacks remain a huge concern. Just 2 weeks ago, a National Public Radio and Marist poll found 41% of respondents believe the US is not prepared enough to keep November's election safe and secure. The US Congress has allocated $425 million in new funding for election security, and the FBI says it will notify state officials when local election systems are believed to have been breached by hackers. These latest measures come after the federal government was criticized for not communicating fully with election officials during and since a Russian attack on the presidential election in 2016. But as Iowa has shown, all of that can be undone by a simple app.
And all of this got us to thinking, just what is a caucus? So Faisal had a look at how it works, when it works, in the early voting states.
Voting in the race to win the White House begins with the Iowa caucuses. 4 months of state-by-state primary elections and caucuses follow. A primary is a method of selecting a candidate through a secret ballot at polling. The other method, a caucus, is more complex. Voters meet at local community centers or schools to discuss who they think will be the best candidate. There are multiple rounds of voting. The goal is to persuade other people to support your candidate. Candidates with low support are tossed out of the race, and their supporters have to choose another politician to back. The results of both the caucuses and primaries determine how many delegates each candidate gets at the party conventions. That's where parties choose a single candidate to be their presidential nominee. All
right, let's take a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. Well, today is World Cancer Day and people are tweeting using the hashtag World Cancer Day. Cancer is still the second leading killer of people globally. People have been posting in solidarity with cancer sufferers and survivors and also encouraging others to be vigilant regarding symptoms and to get themselves checked because early detection of many cancers means they can be treated. Hashtag westandwithobi has been trending after Trabzonspor player Jon Obi Mikel was racially abused online by Fenerbache fans after his team's win at the weekend. Trabzonspor wrote on Twitter that racism is a shelter for the helpless and ignorant and that they filed a criminal complaint against those who attacked Mikel. This Google Doodle is to pay tribute to Nkosi Johnson. He was born with HIV on February the 4th, 1989 in South Africa. He became known to the world after a school refused to admit him in 1997. He was later allowed to go to school and became a campaigner until his death at the age of 12. HIV/AIDS kills 71,000 people in South Africa last year. And a major trial of a vaccine was ended today because results showed it did not work. Well, the Australian bushfires have devastated the country for months, and now some artists have begun to express themselves through their work which calls out the Australian government for not doing enough to address the climate crisis.
As a collective group of Australian artists, we have been driven to reclaim public advertising space with posters speaking to the Australian government's inaction on climate change and the devastating bushfires. We do not accept that this situation is, quote, business as usual. We are making these issues visible in our public spaces and in our media, areas monopolised by entities maintaining conservative climate denial agendas. If the newspapers won't print the story, we will.
Well, now we will go to Mexico to look at a museum which has been set up there to help police deal with narco crime gangs. Take a look at this.
There is a sort of self-emulation and also a sort of veneration of their own personality that makes the drug lords have these exotic tastes.
It is a way in which the personnel working to battle drug trafficking discuss how to put together operations and intelligence strategies.
Keep spinning around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. Twitter says hackers have attempted to access users' phone numbers. They say there was a flaw in their contacts upload feature, which allows users to be found by their phone numbers. That is if you've given your phone number to Twitter. The company says it appears that state actors coming from Iran, Israel and Malaysia have been trying to utilize the flaw. Twitter say they've now fixed the issue.
As humans, we go through so many ups and downs, so many good seasons, bad seasons.
And Justin Bieber has a new doco-series on YouTube, and in the latest episode, he admits that his drug use had gotten way out of hand. His wife, Hailey Baldwin, also says that she decided not to have anything to do with Bieber until he got sober. They married in 2018. And a couple of days ago, we told you about a crocodile in Indonesia who had the misfortune of having a motorbike tire around his neck. There he is. Officials there offered a reward to a brave soul who freed the lizard from its rubbery bind. But what do you know? No one was brave stroke dumb enough to take up the challenge, so the reward has been withdrawn. Well, the Oscars are on at the weekend, and the Academy seem to have got themselves into a bit of a social media beef before the event has even begun. And it's all because of an app. Take a look. And last up, a dog with its tongue out is our animal doing stuff. Meet Marnie. Now, the internet has made celebrities of many weird things. Remember that PewDiePie guy? And now parts of it are obsessed with this guy, Marnie. He's 18 and is a rescue dog with a really long tongue. And it seems that that has made her very popular with people who like looking at pictures of dogs that they don't own on their phones and computers. 1.9 million people now follow Marnie on Instagram. Why is she dressed as Santa? That's all from the Newsfeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, follow me on Twitter, follow, subscribe and add. See you again soon.